what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Ted Lasso. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about, Ted Lasso is a TV show on Apple TV that stars Jason Sudeikis. Now Jason Sudeikis is better known for his SNL roles, but he's a really great comedian and just overall great actor. I love this show. It's probably one of my favorite shows of all time. And if you know me, you know that I love The Office, but Ted Lasso might be like, I don't know, kind of up there. I've only one season and I've seen those 10 episodes about 5 times each, or maybe more. I'm obsessed with the show. I need to watch it again. It's been a little while, it's been a few months. So if you haven't seen it, there might be some spoilers in this video. I want to do a breakdown of episode by episode. It might take me a while because I want to get detailed. And if you're not a fan, you may not enjoy this episode of my vlog. Really sorry about that, but I just love this show so much and I feel like you would benefit from watching if you haven't. You're gonna love it too, I promise you. So it's gonna be a little different today. Instead of me talking to the camera the whole time, it's gonna be mainly just doing a voiceover while I break down some scenes. I'm not gonna use any actual footage because I don't wanna get a copyright strike. So I'm just gonna use stills, but I'll be talking about why that show means so much to me. So Ted Lasso is a show about a character named Ted Lasso, who's an American football coach who goes overseas to England to coach a soccer team, as everybody else calls it in the world, football. So it is a fish out of water story, but it's more than that. It's a lot of depth in these characters. Even the characters seem kind of annoying or kind of weird at first. They kind of grow on you because you get a little more of their character reveal little by little. Again, if you can tell, I'm obsessed with this show. I'm part of so many Facebook groups about it. And so yeah, I just want to talk about it because I love the show and I hope you love it too. If you haven't seen it, I hope after this video you'll want to watch it. And if you have seen it, I hope you learn some things from here. And if I missed something, please leave it in the comments because again, there's so many layers that I'm sure I missed some stuff. Again, this is gonna take a little while because I'm gonna do a deep dive on each episode. It might take me a few weeks to get the next one out, but if you appreciate what I'm doing, please hit the like and subscribe button and follow me for more content like this and also vlogs and just my life in general. So thank you. Alright, so here's a breakdown of episode 1 of Ted Lasso. So the pilot episode opens with Rebecca Welton, who is played by Hannah Waddingham, who is actually the shame nun from Game of Thrones. Crazy, right? So we learned that her ex-husband had cheated on her for a while with multiple women, and during the tumultuous divorce, she got to keep his soccer team, or excuse me, football team if you're from anywhere else except the US. And that team is AFC Richmond. Now Rebecca fires the current coach, much to the shock of her assistant Higgins, played by Jeremy Swift, and she decides to hire Ted Lasso. Now Ted is an American football coach, like I mentioned, of Division II school in Kansas. Hey, shout out. Now he led his team to victory, so he actually knows a lot about coaching, but obviously not about soccer. And that's how we meet Ted. The show uses news clips to move that part of the plot forward, which I appreciate. And they show him celebrating with his team doing a very awkward dance. And I wish I could show you because it's hilarious and heartwarming, but I'm trying to monetize this video someday, so I can't use any clips. So sorry about that, but just Google it or YouTube it, you'll find the clip. So then we cut to actual Ted on the flight, and here we see him reading The Dharma Burns by Jack Kerouac. Kerouac? Semantic cessation. That's an inside joke from the show. If you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. So basically the book examines Kerouac's ideals between being outdoors and finding solitude versus the business of life, or just regular life. It's also a book about Buddhism, or at least the Western version of conception of Buddhism. So Dharma, and I'm not an expert here, Dharma is a concept in Buddhism that refers to a true order of the universe. The Dharma Burns is about that search for enlightenment. And Ted, reading this on a flight on his way to England, says a lot about his state of mind. I think it speaks to the life he left behind, and we'll find out more, spoiler alert, he left a wife and a child, in his native country of the US. He left all that for the unknown, for a sport he doesn't know anything about, to go to a country he doesn't even know anything about. So this is my interpretation, but I feel like he's hoping that this little journey he's going in will help him make more sense of his life. Now later in the episode we'll find out more about his leaving everything behind, and I'll touch on that when we get there. So this is a close-up of what Ted is reading. And again, my interpretation, I think it speaks to Ted's frame of mind during this time. While he may not be out in the woods in solitude, he will be alone in a lot of ways, at least in the beginning. And the writing of this show is so good I can literally make this video an hour long. Don't worry, I'm not going to. But I can if I wanted to because it's so good. I refrain and just spend some more time in the main parts of the episode. And that's where we meet another important character, Coach Beard. And that is his name in the entire show. He's played by Brendan Hunt, another fellow comedian and actually a co-creator of the show and writer. So Coach Beard's character is one of my favorites. But actually I can say about all of them. But he doesn't say much, but when he does, It's meaningful and it moves the plot forward and is clever and witty. And the way he portrays his character, it's so funny and so amazing. Anyway, Coach Beard's reading Inverting the Pyramid by Jonathan Wilson. It's a book that analyzes the history of soccer tactics from all over the world. So here we see the different characters in different state of minds. Although Ted's going to be the head coach, he should be the one reading this book about soccer, right? But he's more worried about his personal life and finding the balance that he needs. Meanwhile, Coach Beard, an assistant coach who's also leaving his country, he's actually reading things about soccer, including a book called Soccer for Dummies. So that tells you how much prepared they are. But again, it speaks to the head coach not really caring about soccer and the assistant coach actually doing all the work. And in the next scene, we find out that Ted has a family, even though I mentioned it before. He looks at his iPhone, and of course it's an Apple TV show, so everyone has Macs and iPhones and Apple Watches. Anyway, on the lock screen, we see a picture of his wife and son. It's a subtle way to let viewers know that Ted has left a lot behind. And then it makes us question, well, why would he do that? So Ted and Coach Beard arrive in London, and Ted didn't get any sleep, which sets up a whole punchline joke later. And they're met by Ollie, Driver, a character that seems unimportant right now, but later on it will start to illustrate more about Ted's own character. And I just want you to note this real quick, how Ollie actually spells Ted's name correctly when he goes to pick him up. And that's meaningful later on. Again, because I don't want to play any actual footage here, I just want you to know that this show is really, really funny, and the relationship between Ted and Coach Beard is full of quips and one-liners. This is really good. After Ollie takes them a brief tour of London, they go to the stadium wherein they go see the field, or as it's called in England, the pitch. And that's when we meet another character that's really important later on, named Nate. Nate's story arc is really fascinating and really well done. I'm not going to talk about it now in full because, again, this is just episode 1 breakdown, but as we go on in the future episodes, you'll see how important he becomes. So Nate is the equipment manager. He's a shy, introverted kind of guy who has low self-esteem issues when he first meets Ted. But Ted can tell there's something in there. He can tell that Nate is really a leader in the making. So he actually calls him Nate the Great. And Ted sees the greatness in him even if he can't see it himself. And that's one of the things I love about the character Ted Lasso. He's a positive dude who sees the greatness in all and the kindness in all. But he can also see through the BS too. And when we meet the main antagonist, Hannah's ex-husband, he can see through his BS and through his meanness, if you will. So Ted actually asked Nathan or Nate for his name, and then Nate says, "Me? No one ever asked my name." And again, that sets up the whole dynamic of Ted being this important coach, caring about the little guy, if you will. So Ted finally meets Rebecca, his boss. And this is such a good scene. Ted says, "You must meet Miss Walton." And she says, "Call me Rebecca, Miss Walton's my father." And to which Ted replies, "If that's a joke, I love it. If not, I cannot wait to unpack that with you." And here Rebecca, with that line, is affirming that she's the boss now. She's in control of this team in a man's world. It's not her father's team, it's not her ex-husband's team, it's her team. And here we get another of those Tedisms when she asks him, "How do you take your tea?" And he says, "Well, usually I take it back to the counter because someone made a horrible mistake." See, Ted hates tea. He likes coffee because he's American, damn it. And I love that because I actually like coffee too and not tea. So that's just a personal note. So she takes him on a tour of the club, and in one key moment, again, which seems like a throwaway line, it's a picture of a hospital tent on the pitch, and Rebecca mentions that during World War I, the stadium was used as a makeshift hospital, and that some of the locals swear that the place is haunted, and that they see ghosts walking around. And that part, the haunted part, it seems so innocuous, but it'll become important in a later episode. Don't worry, there are no ghosts in the show, but it is really important. Now, as she goes on the tour, she shows pictures of previous owners, all male before her, including one of her ex-husbands, surrounded by 3 or 4 women, much younger than he is, and a bottle of champagne. After a brief exchange, Rebecca tells Ted that there was a press conference scheduled for right now. He hasn't had any sleep, doesn't know anything about the sport, and is thrown to the wolves, if you will. While Ted is getting ready to talk, we cut to the locker room and we see the team, and we hear from Roy Kent, the veteran captain, who tells everyone to be quiet. He will start punching them in their dicks. That's what he said. That's Roy. And that's a great intro to a character that's always angry, but by little, we're beginning to see more layers and depth to him. Trust me, Roy Kent is a crowd favorite, and you'll see why. Another part that will be really important later on is Ted spitting out the fizzy water, and of course, he gets murdered in the press conference, absolutely devastated by the press because of his lack of knowledge about the game. And the final question comes from another character who will play a key role in a few episodes down the line. You see how much this show accomplishes just, this pilot only 13 minutes in? Trent Krimp from The Independent. He basically says, what everyone is thinking. So you're an American who has never set foot in England, don't know anything about the sport, and he asks, is this a f***ing joke? We do meet a few other characters here, like recurring fans who show up to every episode, breaking some of the tension. But anyway, back to the press conference. Rebecca steps in, saving Ted from the media onslaught, and she lectures the press and asks him to basically give Ted a chance. Ted seems impressed and relieved to see his boss go to bat for him, so to speak. Now Higgins tells Rebecca that he had his doubts, but after hearing her speak about Ted, she sees why he saw in him. But then, here's the twist, she reveals her intentions by hiring him. She wants Ted to fail miserably. Why? To get back at her ex-husband. Rebecca tells Higgins that the football club is the only thing that he cared about and loved, so she's looking forward to see him suffer when Ted Lasso fails inevitably because he doesn't know anything about soccer. So at this moment in time, she's motivated by anger and revenge. Regardless of what happens to anyone else involved, she doesn't care about the players, the team, the fans, or Ted. Now you may be tempted to think she's a horrible person, but she's really not, she's just hurt. She's acting out of a place of anger, which is not good obviously, but that's what she's at right now. And her intentions are wrong, and what she's doing is wrong. But again, even something good can come out of something bad. I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. And of course, you'll see that in the show eventually. Rebecca's a really complex character, which makes the show so interesting to watch. Okay, so then we meet Jamie Tart. Jamie Tart, Jamie Tart, Okay. Yeah, I know, that's part of the show. They do chant that later on the show. Jamie's the star of the team. He's really into himself, doesn't play nice with others, and he's not very nice. He's a very shallow character at first, in so many ways, but he does slowly become more of an actual person, not a caricature. Slowly though. So naturally, Jamie and Roy hate each other. Jamie thinks Roy's old and overrated, and Roy thinks Jamie is full of himself. They're both kind of right. Then we briefly also meet Sam, a player from Nigeria who is homesick. This little detail will be important later on for a few episodes down the line, and he's such a sweet guy. Well, then Ted goes to introduce himself to the team before he officially starts on Monday, and while he's doing that, we meet Keely. Now, Keely's a really fun and interesting character. She's dating the much younger Jamie Tart, and she's basically like a reality TV show star. At first, you don't think you see much of her, but she's a really important part of the story, and the relationship between her and Rebecca is really beautiful to watch and unfold. Ted and Keely don't seem to have much in common on the surface, but they really do. She's kind of lost. She's on her own journey. She has no idea what she wants to do with her life, and she's just kind of there, just waiting for something to happen to her. And that is until she starts taking matters into her own hands and fighting for and demanding for what she wants. And then there's a montage of Ted and Coach Beard making themselves at home, if you will. And the reason I mention it is because there's this image of Coach Beard hanging the Pyramid of Success by John Woods, a famous former coach of UCLA basketball. It's a quick shot, but the pyramid represents all that Ted Lasso believes and reveals his coaching style. It's the subtle things like that that makes this show so great. How many times have I said that already? Who knows? Then Roy and Ted finally meet, which only ends with Roy cussing him out. Funny little side note, Roy is played by Brett Goldstein, a writer in the show, and he got cast as Roy because he thought he could play well, and one day he filmed himself acting on a few scenes and sent the tape off, or I guess videos in this case, through email, to Jason and the other people in charge of casting, and they love the way he brought the character to life. Anyway, after Roy leaves, Ted tells Coach Beard he thinks he's mad now, wait until they win him over. Then Ted goes to the locker room and puts up the iconic Believe poster. I love that poster. I love that message. Keely walks in and helps him make it straighter. That's what she said. But not really. She actually guides him into making it even more crooked, which reveals a funny and carefree side of her personality. In this conversation, Ted beatboxes, and Keely's like, I never know how to react when a grown man beatboxes in front of me. It's a funny line, especially his quip when he returns with, well, I hope you never run into Biz Marquee in person then. And it's more than just a funny line. It's actually gonna matter in the future for another character throwback and connection, which I'll cover once we get there. Then Ted finally makes it to his hotel, and here we see a welcome package, a fruit basket if you will, and his name is misspelled as Tim Lasso. So the rich people, his boss, management, etc., don't really care about him or his name, but Ollie the driver got his name right. I just thought it was curious, just a little tidbit there. Anyhow, then we see Ted kind of sad, lonely, with a soft piano music playing in the background. And then he calls his wife, and then we realize and learn that they're separated, that she needs space, and that's why he took this job, to literally give her thousands of miles in space. Then the episode ends with him in bed, wide awake because of jet lag. And that's the end of episode 1. It's such a good show and I cannot recommend it enough. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content like this one, more reviews about Ted Lasso, book reviews, vlogs. So if you're into positivity, if you're into travel, if you're into just being the best version of yourself, you'll like my content overall. So please hit the like and subscribe button for all that and reviews and just vlogs and more. Thank you so much.